There are certain questions that do not demand answers so much as they invite reflection. What did the British give the world is one such question. It cannot be answered quickly, nor should it be. For woven into its folds are centuries of human striving, missteps and brilliance, and a quiet thread of endurance that still pulses through modern life. To speak of Britain's gifts to the world is not to claim perfection, nor to sidestep the shadows. It is, rather, to hold a mirror up to what was offered, often imperfectly, often ahead of its time, and to trace the lines of influence that continue to shape how we think, speak, move, and live. Let us begin with the most invisible yet omnipresent gift of all, the English language. Not merely a tongue, but a vessel for commerce, for poetry, for protest and promise. It carries Shakespeare's sonnets and scientific breakthroughs, diplomatic treaties, and bedtime stories. Spoken across continents, adapted into countless forms, English remains a language not of conquest alone, but of communion. It gives voice to the global imagination, even now. But before language was legacy, there was law. The British understanding of justice, shaped by the Magna Carta, refined through common law, and carried abroad through institutions, became a framework that many nations would later adopt or adapt. The idea that the rule of law should stand above the rule of men, that even kings might be held accountable, as they were in the trial of Charles I. These were not simply political developments. They were declarations of faith in the dignity of the ordinary person, that the governed have the right to shape the terms of their governance, that justice, however flawed in practice, must remain a guiding light. And then there is the structure of governance itself. Parliamentary democracy, with its careful procedures and debates, its balance between continuity and change, became one of Britain's most enduring contributions. The idea that power must be checked, that opposition must be heard, that leadership is not the preserve of bloodline, but of responsibility. These ideas were not only born in Britain, but gradually, patiently, they were refined there. To this day, nations look to Westminster not for grandeur, but for a kind of institutional wisdom, a system where ceremony meets accountability, where history meets the present, where the slow machinery of law protects against the rashness of unchecked power. Science, too, bears British fingerprints. Isaac Newton's laws became the foundation of modern physics, a shift in how we understood not only falling apples, but the very motion of the stars. Darwin's theory of evolution challenged and deepened our view of life's great unfolding. Turing gave us the mathematics of modern computing long before machines caught up with his mind. British invention has often favored the quietly transformative, the steam engine, the telephone, the electric motor, technologies that now feel elemental as if they have always existed, were once shaped in British workshops and mines. And from these sprang the foundations of the modern world: industry, transport, communication. But to reduce British contribution to systems and machines would be to miss the soul beneath it. For Britain also gave the world a certain way of being, a cultural sensibility, a quiet dignity, the ability to carry hardship without spectacle, to meet joy with restraint, a humor that softens truth without weakening it, a politeness that, far from being shallow, is rooted in care for the other. British literature, with all its reserve and depth, taught generations what it means to observe the human heart. Austen's irony, Dickens's empathy, Woolf's inner weather, Orwell's warnings. These voices gave the world not only stories, but sight into ourselves, our systems, our silences. And there is something else, harder to name, but just as present, a kind of inner structure, a belief, however fragile, in fair play, in doing one's duty even when no one watches, in allowing space for disagreement without descending into rage, in building institutions not for domination but for continuity, so that even when the people change, the principles may endure. It was never about being flawless. No society is. And the British, too, have struggled with their history, sometimes defending it, sometimes reckoning with it, sometimes simply learning to live beside it. But the intention, in its highest form, was always towards order rather than chaos, towards structure that could shelter the honest person rather than empower the corrupt. There is something remarkable in the fact that a small island, often battered by its own weather, became the seedbed of systems now used across continents. That the same place that once held absolute monarchy later held that monarchy to account. That the same soil that produced empire also produced the very tools for dismantling it: education, rule of law, free press, principled dissent. And yes, even this, the very technology through which this voice now reaches others. Artificial intelligence, the digital age, the global network, these did not come from one nation alone, but they rest on ideas first seeded in British soil. The computing logic of Babbage and Turing, the legal frameworks of rights and responsibilities, the notion that information, when freely shared, can lift societies rather than simply entertain them. The world as we know it is not wholly British, but it is, in many quiet ways, shaped by Britain's hand, not in conquest, but in contribution, in systems, in stories, in science and civility. So when we ask, what did the British give the world? Perhaps the better question is, what do we do now with what was given? For gifts, after all, do not belong only to those who offer them. They live on in those who receive, who refine, and who pass them forward.